Good morning, brothers and sisters. Jim Beckwith reporting here from End Times Prophecy News. I was listening to Alex Jones' broadcast on the 26th yesterday, and Sam Tripoli is reporting here. Let's take a listen.
Well, Sam Tripoli's a really smart guy. And I remember meeting him, I don't know, more than 15 years ago, but being on his podcast since he started it 9 years ago, and hanging around with Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan and them. And I remember him always talking about it's Europe, it's the Germans, and we're not even saying the Nazis, but we're saying the whole eugenics movement, the UK, all of that, because if you actually study it, it's where it comes from. So you can say, oh, it's this group, it's that group, but there's a managing system that's anti-human. So you can say, oh, it's the Catholics, it's the Jews, it's the whatever. There's all these competing factions, the communist Chinese and all of it, but at the end of the day, there's this eugenics movement that literally treats us like animals and thinks that they're gods, and it really does tie into the ancients and the Anunnaki and their beliefs in that. And if you go to Skull and Bones, their annals got leaked to Anthony Sutton by Charlotte Iserby's dad, and they for days get in coffins and try to channel entities and become possessed, and so were these electrochemical creatures. The elites know all this. Occult just means hidden. They've been suppressing it. So you get a lot into that. I want to get into the history of corruption. I want to get into, big picture currently Trump, but who runs the world? I want to get your take.
Alex is saying a bunch of stuff that is, some parts are true and some are just fake imaginations. And it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's confusing, but it's entertaining. But he, at the same time, understands global markets and global government from the New World Order.
Take on that. And the election was rigged. I want to get a controlled demolition of Hollywood. Where you see that going? These are really big topics. But let's get into it. We talk about sorcery. When you hear that term, that's an ancient term for mind control, electrochemical, pharmakia. You're really on target with that, Sam. Give us your take.
You're crushing it, Alex. You're right on. You bring up Anunnaki. It's like, this is all, you want to get into the...
Anunnaki is a word that refers to like aliens, okay? But the Bible actually tells us that they were giants. They were not Nephilim in the perverted Bibles. They were giants, okay? The word was changed to Nephilim in the perverted Bibles to hide the fact that there were giants, and let's turn them into aliens. Okay, so Anunnaki is another term for ancient civilization that refers back to aliens, okay, as if aliens lived on the world, but they didn't. So let's continue.
Gays run everything. You want to get into this and that. They're all middle management. The Zionists, the communists, the Jesuits, all that stuff, middle management. If you know their name, they're not running anything. They're just being told what to do. The truth of the matter is, this is an ancient death cult. It's the Babylonians. And, if you take a look at the Greater Israel Project and you compare it to ancient Babylon, the maps are pretty similar. Ancient Babylon's a little bigger, but
and
the map is pretty similar.
Revelation says the New World Government will be a new Babylon.
Yeah, and it's playing out in front of us, dude, 100%. And, you can get into Jeffrey Epstein, you can get into all that stuff, but when you really look at these people and really study them, they let you know the truth. And the truth is, they let you know it through their symbols. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein had the owl everywhere. We see people walking around with...
Okay, that's enough of that. All right. So I wanted to talk about that. That is very important. Here, the long title is a full Monday broadcast. Minneapolis rioters destroy hotel housing ICE agents yesterday. That happened. Trump to send border Caesar Holman. Plus, millions of Americans demand Trump invoke Insurrection Act or pull out ICE out of Minneapolis. Market expert Dr. Kirk Elliott gives exclusive update on skyrocketing precious metals prices as silver surges to $118 an ounce. Finally, top comedian Sam Tripoli joins Alex Jones to reveal the ancient satanic Babylonian system runs the world. So just a little bit about the title here, okay? So here we have current news of the Bolshevik Revolution that is was played out way back, I think in 1917, and then it spread. The same game played out in China. It played out in Germany, and this is exactly what he says, and I know it. That's exactly what happened. And I forgot what other nations, but it's always a highly powered military government first, and then when they want to destroy it, they bring in the Bolshevik Revolution, the Bolshevik color revolution. Okay, of course, this is all from hell and Satan and all that, and this is the Babylonian system. You need to understand. So they're talking, as you just heard, Alex Jones is referring back to John the Apostle in the book of Revelation, how it talks about the ancient Babylon that is going to happen in the future again. And Ecclesiastes 1:9 tells, and chapter 3, verse 15 tells us that there is nothing new under the sun, that which has been shall be, and God requireth the past, and the purpose is of requiring the past is to prophesy of the future. Okay. See, but the problem is they're not understanding the full spiritual aspect of this at all. Okay. They're talking about sorceries, which it does speak of in the book of Revelation, to seduce us, drugs, CIA mind games, to destroy our minds and program us through our children, our schools, and our colleges to make us think a certain way, to accept DEI hiring, diversity, inclusion, and to destroy the nation from within, you see. Okay, so this is the ancient Babylonian thing. They've done it to many nations. Okay, and they use the military might of the United States to do it to many nations, but now the globalists want to destroy America, you see, because they have a new system rising. It's called the rise of the Antichrist and the New World Order. The New World Order is all about the rise of the Antichrist. False prophet, Antichrist, and Satan, the 666. 3 lost souls predetermined and predestinated before the foundation by God to go to hell forever. Okay, so that's the number of the mark of the beast, 666. But so as we continue to talk about Babylon, it's very, very important for prophecy and to understand where the world is going right now. So there's many things to talk about here. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is if we go over to, and I did subscribe to Mild News, which is Epic Times, okay? Appeals court sides with Trump administration to lift Minnesota protest curbs on ICE agents. The 3-judge panel said they reviewed videos of the protests presented to the district court. A federal appeals court on January 26, yesterday, granted the Trump administration a full stay of lower court ruling that prevented ICE agents from detaining protesters or using non-lethal munitions and crowd dispersal tools during protests in Minnesota without probable cause. In its ruling, the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals panel said that U.S. District Judge Kate Menendez's January 16 injunction was too vague and that the Department of Homeland Security has made a strong showing that its challenge is likely to succeed on the merits. Okay. So this is a big win. Now, I want you to understand where Trump has actually changed massively. Think back, way back in 2016 and 17, if you were here and you understood politics at all and were listening to all the hate on Donald Trump. What were they all saying? He's a male chauvinist pig. He is and then it moved into he's a racist. He's a sexist. He's also a womanizer. He's hateful. This is the left's talking points, okay? And many have who voted for Trump and are MAGA supporters. What did they? Many of them had said the same things. They said, "I don't agree with a lot of the things that he says, but I agree what he's doing for America." You have a large majority of MAGA supporters saying that. Because if you look at history, that's what he was doing the whole time, and that's what got him hated by many who were deceived by the Democrat communist regime rising. You see, in their mind, they kept listening to, he's hateful, he's a male chauvinist pig. How can he be a good ruler? Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? So if we go over to, I'm trying to find it here. Yeah, this is it. So I typed in Epic Times, who I now have a subscription to, but it's not Wild Truth day-to-day, minute-by-minute news. It is basically more of a 35,000-foot news that is more calmer supporting Donald Trump, okay? So it's not going to give you latest things that the Democrats have done. But what the point here is it says Trump acquiring Greenland is about saving lives. And then it says Trump announces new Greenland framework with NATO, calls off extra tariffs. This is something that a lot of people are not understanding. President Donald Trump announces a framework deal on Greenland with the NATO Nazi Secretary General Mark Rutte as he wraps up his first day in Davos. We have highlights from the president's address to the World Economic Forum. What could be the Greenland framework? And pay attention for a minute. Don't just jump over to today's news and say this is boring. You need to understand how Trump has changed. It's not that Trump has changed for the better. He's changed for diplomacy, you see. So when he went to Davos, he did not speak real evil of those evil leaders, the European leaders and the UN and all that. He did not speak evil of them. He says, I have many friends in the room and some enemies. And he complimented most of the people. But he also let them know he has a show of force that he's going to take Greenland, that he's going to impose tariffs. But when he came at that time to speak in Davos, things changed greatly. Because, pardon me, because the New World Order realized they're being crushed by him. Sorry, I have problems with my throat after my accident 15 years ago. So it causes me to have, issues where I cough, but bear with me. So anyway, they knew that Donald Trump was crushing them on all fronts across the world, rearranging the landscape, getting rid of corruption, rolling back DEI hiring in America, crushing the regimes, getting rid of dictator Maduro, blowing up all kinds of drug boats entering the USA to sell fentanyl to kill the people. I mean, it's just, he's winning everywhere. The people of the world, most of them, very few, hate Donald Trump. But the globalists who own the legacy media are pushing the narrative that the world hates Trump. They are saying the complete opposite because this is the communist takeover, you see. The takeover of all your news. Even in Greenland, the so-called installed leader of Greenland, even though it was owned by Denmark and controlled by Denmark, did the same false narrative that and paid protesters to go out and say, we don't want Donald Trump in Greenland to take it over. But when independent news reporters went over there, and I think it was Nick Shirley who did it, he found out that the Greenland people are saying the complete opposite. That they want Donald Trump to take it over, and Denmark has killed our babies with IUDs and other experiments to kill the wombs of our daughters so that we couldn't have babies. You know, the New World Order death cult. They have done this for many years. They did it with brainwashing. You see, so Donald Trump is saying the exact opposite, that we are to reward women for having babies. And we will pay $1,000 when that baby turns 18 years old as well as a gift. He's the complete opposite of the death cult. He's saving lives in every nation, in every war, to try to stop war. He's bringing his armada to surround Iran if they keep on murdering their own people protesting against the Iranian regime. So, Donald Trump changed in Davos. He applied diplomacy to the wicked leaders. And they loved it. They sucked it up. Why? Because they don't want to be demonized. Because if he demonizes them, they demonize him. So what happened here? The NATO secretary, it says right here, plus Trump calls out world leaders by name in his Davos address as the EU has called off its trade deal with the United States. We hear from Lieutenant Hal Kempler, a retired Marine intelligence officer. A House panel voted to hold former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in contempt. We hear legal analysis from former federal prosecutor. This is other stuff. But the point here is that the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, and Donald Trump is pulling out of NATO. He's also pulling out of the EU and the UN. It's all moving forward because all of these three agencies were completely wicked in causing wars with the United States to control it in so many nations to overthrow them. You see, and the leftist kids being brainwashed today, they believe the U.S. needs to be destroyed. So what do you have from BLM and Antifa and in all these paid protester riots? You have so many people believing that the U.S. is wicked. And if you carry American flag, it doesn't matter if you're Christian or Muslim, we're going to attack you, beat you down, and possibly kill you. Because the American flag represents MAGA now. Make America great again. Trump. We hate Trump. F Trump. Over and over. Everywhere. Okay. So they're trying to set up these autonomous no-go zones in Minneapolis, just like the BLM and Antifa did in Portland and Los Angeles before in the 2020 riots as well. This is that Bolshevik revolution again. It happened in China. It happened in Germany. It's happening worldwide now, but mostly in America, because we need to destroy Trump. But Trump is Cyrus, as I've said many times, who have come back to bless God's people. The Bolshevik Maoist revolution is all from Satan. And so this is exactly what Sam Tripoli is talking about.
Chelsea Clinton walking around with the upside down cross. I mean, they let you know over time the symbolism, the colors, the checker boards. This is ancient Babylon, because they worship ancient Babylon. They want to bring back the old gods, Mithras, Moloch, and all of them, Baphomet. They want to bring them all back, but they can't come out and say it in the open because we'd probably lynch them.
Well, remember how the Germans brought back, and Hitler brought back, the wall of Pergamon and the seat of Satan from Babylon and rebuilt it in Germany. People never even talk about that.
100%.
No.
And you study these Nazis, and everybody's called a Nazi here and there, but if you really...
And the Bolshevik Revolution is about changing the frame of mind of what a Nazi is. You see, what's happening in Minneapolis and with BLM and Antifa before in the riots 4 years ago, 4 years ago, they did the same thing. They called the MAGA crowd the Nazis. They called Trump the Nazi. They call the Christians the Nazi now, you see. It's an inversion. And how do they achieve this inverted understanding of what a Nazi is? Well, they started in your schools when your kids were little. They started by telling you that we are against anti-Semites who persecute Jews, but those same teachers have been telling your kids for many decades now that the Jews were never slaughtered in World War II. They are liars. And this is the same thing that keeps on being presented to the masses to program you. They're programming you that they, who are telling you this stuff, we are against those who persecute Jews. We are the cult of love. And Donald Trump is the cult of death. But it's the complete opposite. They are the cult of the Nazis. But they keep telling you that the Jews were liars, that there was not 6 million Jews that died in World War II in death camps. So what does that do to your brain? It says the Jews are liars. We can't trust the Jews. They're evil. You see, that's all part of prophecy right there. That God shall bring all nations against Israel, and they shall battle. And then who comes to the podium to speak death? Jesus Christ. When he comes back with his billions of saints in white. Revelation 19. And he speaks. And his enemies are terminated just by the breath of his lips, as Isaiah the prophet says. They come to overcome him, but he overcomes them, as Revelation 17 says. Because you cannot match God in any weapon. So, to understand Babylon, and ancient Babylon, is to also understand the Babylon of Revelation 16, 17, and 18 that shall be destroyed by Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, as the word or oracles says. So, Donald Trump is changing the world now by his different way he speaks. He is turning away from telling the flat out truth of how evil they are. So let's go over to Gateway Pundit and I'll show you the proof. There it is right there. Okay. So Waltz says Trump has agreed to look into reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota. Most of you Trump supporters, a lot of you are going to say, oh my God, Trump is letting them take over. He's gone soft on them. He did not declare the Insurrection Act to get rid of and arrest Governor Tim Waltz, who Donald Trump has called retard many times, right? He has not arrested Mayor Jacob Frey of Minneapolis, where he is covering up all their crimes with Somalian fraud and many other frauds as well that are reaching way into the probably 30 to 50 billion in that state alone. And many other states, especially California, are loaded with this fraud. I would not worry about the fraud costing you a lot of money. Because let's be honest with you. We live in a fiat currency society where they print money out of thin air. It is not backed by any gold, okay? But Jim, you tell us that Cyrus is bringing back the riches as Isaiah chapter 45. That's right, he sure is. Now, let's move on. Minnesota Governor Tim Waltz has said that President Donald Trump, and this is yesterday, told him he will look into reducing the number of federal agents in his state. Well, Trump has gone soft on Waltz. Wait a minute, didn't Trump go soft at Davos? Didn't he make agreement with the devil? The NATO secretary, Rutte, R-U-T-T-E, however you pronounce it. Waltz called Trump and described the conversation as productive, and Trump called it very good. So let's listen to exactly what Trump said here. Governor Tim Waltz called me with a request to work together with respect, diplomacy, to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Waltz that I would have Tom Holman call him, and that what we are looking for are any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Holman was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We have had such tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana, and virtually every other place that we have touched. And even in Minnesota, crime is way down, but both Governor Waltz and I want to make it better. Okay, so all that is true, but what is going on behind or between the lines there? What happened to those other cities, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, New Orleans, that Trump has already made? Did he arrest the criminals? Did he arrest the Democrat leaders? Did he arrest General Rutte of the German Nazi Fourth Reich, who made a deal with him to acquire Greenland? No, he didn't, did he? Well, what's going to happen with Greenland? Well, America's going to get the riches, aren't they? Yeah, rare minerals in the billions that communist China was trying to take over the world with, along with the oil. It's all about energy and rare earth minerals and resources, you see. Those are the ones who govern the world. Those are the ones who control you. If they can take away your resources, your food, kill all your food, and give you poison, they got it. They've got complete control over you. But you see, Donald Trump is doing the exact opposite. He's taking it away from them. The EU, the UN are all very weak now. European nations, 27, are very, very weak. They have destroyed them. Their plan was to destroy America, but Donald Trump came on the scene and he made it completely the opposite. They were destroying America through Maduro and Venezuela and Cuba, but Donald Trump is rearranging the global landscape. Now, he didn't do it with diplomacy with Maduro, did he? But you see, he showed his strength to bring peace, you see. And when he went before Davos, he said, "You've seen what I did in Venezuela." And those Davos leaders, they said, "Oh, no, don't do that to us. Your high-tech military might will wipe us out." And it's true. And Donald Trump does not tell you or anyone the secrets of the U.S. military technical power. Their high-tech military AI robots and many different inventions to just have the enemy just fall down with nose and blood coming out of their mouth, but not dead. Notice I said not dead, because he doesn't come to kill, does he? Steal and destroy. So Donald Trump won against the globalists when he went to speak at Davos, and what did he want? Mainly Greenland. Now let's roll back a little bit. Before that, he threatened sanctions on all, I think it was 8 or 10 EU nations opposing him acquiring Greenland. He first said, "I will pay a handsome price for Greenland to acquire it." They rejected that, threw a couple troops over there to try and make it look like they're going to go to war against Trump. And then Trump said, "I will put tariffs on all of your nations." So when he goes to Davos, things change. They knew he was going to win and take over Greenland anyway. So God used Cyrus or Trump to work with diplomacy. Don't demonize us, and we won't demonize you. What have they always done to Trump? They've always demonized him because of his demonization of them. Wait a minute, doesn't it say in Matthew 7, 1 through 5, it says, "Judge not lest ye be judged." It also says in the oracles, plus in New and Old Testament, that it says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Take not vengeance by yourself." So when you couple those two truths, don't take vengeance and judge not lest ye be judged, what is the New World Order going to do with a man who speaks diplomacy and no longer calls Tim Walz retard? They can't judge him back because he's not speaking evil of their brains like retard, huh? You see? He's taken that out of the equation now. And he won. And so what happened in Greenland? Well, now, Trump previously said, "I'm going to pay with the U.S. tax dollars for Greenland." But the General Secretary is convinced that we should give it to the U.S. The tariffs are off. Trump called the tariffs off of those EU nations. They no longer will have a debt to us. At the same time, we get Greenland for free. Talk about a win-win-win. There's just no question about it. Trump was willing to pay. So all parties are blessed, including Denmark, who was so weak they couldn't protect Greenland whatsoever. Their economy is pathetic. So now we are going to get lots of rare earth minerals as Donald Trump sets up and previously I called it the Golden Globe. It's called the Golden Dome of defense against military attacks in the world to the U.S. and to other countries. This will be built in Greenland. And it's not about saying even that the EU and UN cannot do anything about it. They agree to it 100%. They've lost. So what's going to happen here with Tim Walz and his Bolshevik revolution? I believe the same thing's going to happen. You see, the whole point of the Bolshevik revolution was to overtake America and turn it into communism. Read right here again what Donald Trump is saying. Remember, Trump is Cyrus. He is like Moses in the desert and parting the Red Sea. Notice he says, we've had such tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana, but now Trump has gone diplomatic. His success will even increase greatly. He can no longer be called the sexist, the racist, the Nazi. He will change the way he acts now toward these wicked, fallen angels, devils manifested in the flesh who are ruling the world. And it is prophecy. So he already won all these other states, but it's impossible because in Minneapolis, the corruption is major and the Bolshevik revolution is going to win over Trump. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. It comes and it goes. That's about it. Oh, but Jim, they got the Black Panthers in there, and the police in Minneapolis are scared of the Black Panthers, and they've got fully loaded weapons, automatic machine guns, and the police just run away from them. That's because Waltz has told them to step down and let the Black Panthers do it. So, I'm telling you, I don't know exactly what's going to happen in Minneapolis. I'm not here to tell you that. But in the end, all these cities, Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, New Orleans, Portland, all of them are going to have to be washed of Cyrus, including Minneapolis. We have already brought the crime of murder in the U.S. down to an all-time 85-year low. We are not talking about mass genocide from COVID vaccine and COVID virus. We are talking about just plain murder. Because justice is here by Cyrus. ICE is a big, ICE is a big component of his justice, but it's not everything. Minneapolis and Minnesota, most of the government is corrupt, and the police are even coinciding and working with the corrupt government, sure, for a time. It's not going to last that long. No. So, with that being said, let's go over to God's Word. And I've taught this before, you need to understand ancient Babylon to understand modern Babylon. What is being presented by John the Apostle in Revelation? Let's go to God's Word. In Revelation chapter, the book of Revelation, several different chapters. Revelation 6, Revelation 16, 17, 18, 19, all of them are referring to, I think it's even in chapter 15 too. There's many times it's spoken about Babylon. Because John the Apostle is giving you the future 2,000 years ago. Okay. But to understand New Babylon is to understand Old Babylon. Okay? But there really is no New and Old Babylon, because the oracles never refers to it as new or old. It's always been here, folks. That's what I've been trying to tell you for many, many decades, that Babylon is cloaked as a church. It's called the Roman Catholic Church. It's just covered up. It's crimes. That's all. They presented themselves as a church, but Jesus says in Revelation chapter 2 that I shall kill your children with death, to the church of Thyatira, which is so let's start here. I think it's in verse 18, yeah. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira, right? There's an angel appointed for each church. Because there is some saving doctrine of people going to heaven out of the Roman Catholic Church, but it is very, very small percentage. It is loaded with all kinds of damnable doctrines that take most of the Catholic Church to hell. Do not twist what I'm saying. Understand that there is some truth in the Roman Catholic Church, but most is damnable. Okay. So, unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, these things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. Revelation chapter 1, matching. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. We see that right there in the Roman Catholic Church. But not only that, this Jezebel is referring to a woman who is a spirit, but actually came from the Old Covenant, the Old Testament, who God was against and killed her. And not only that, but the dogs ate her carcass when it was done. And you see the same identical thing of modern Babylon in Revelation 7, Revelation 19, I think it is. Yeah. Where all the vultures, and even Jesus spoke about this in the gospel, all the birds eat the carcass of Babylon that Jesus had destroyed. So it says, I gave her space to repent of her fornication. You notice the church is represented as a woman, as Jezebel, who is against God. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication. She repented not. And notice it says fornication, because it's referring to her worshiping other gods. Because this is a spiritual marriage here. The spiritual marriage is that the people believe in other gods, but there is no other God. You see? So they're putting forth another God who is actually Satan. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her, adultery, see, those who believe in another God, into great tribulation. That's after the rapture. So most of the church of Roman Catholics are going into great tribulation. Most of them will miss the rapture. But you notice he didn't say all of them. And I will kill her children with death. Just as he killed the children of Israel with death for worshiping other gods as well. God is no respecter of persons. You worship other gods, I'm going to kill you. He's always taught you that. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searches the reins and the hearts of the Jews, the Gentiles? No. And I will give unto every one of you according to your works. So, to understand, this is Babylon, and I've taught it many times. This is the end times revelation that of John the Apostle speaking of Babylon, Revelation 16 and 17 and 18, and how Jesus is going to destroy it in the end of the 7 years of Great Tribulation. Now, to understand ancient Babylon is to go back to Isaiah 14. Okay? And I've taught this many times. The oracles tells you that there are many Babylonian leaders, including Cyrus was a Babylonian leader, but he gave the riches that were stolen by another Babylonian leader called Nebuchadnezzar. Who stole the riches from Israel, and Cyrus gave it back to them. You see, Cyrus was a rebellious Babylonian leader, but he was also God's servant, the opposite of Babylon. That's what you need to understand. Isaiah chapter 45 tells you that. Okay? So the left keeps telling you, and when Donald Trump first wanted to run for president in 2016, they were telling you that he is wicked. He is part of the new Babylonian system. He's a racist. He's a sexist. He's a male chauvinist. You see? Now, so to understand the earthly marriage is one understanding between a man and a woman, and to understand the spiritual marriage is another. The spiritual marriage is God marrying his bride, his earthly bride of believers. And he does that in Revelation 19, the marriage supper of the Lamb. After the Great Tribulation, saints go into heaven, then his bride is complete. He brings forth in heaven the marriage supper of the Lamb, and then he comes down to earth with all of his bride. But his bride don't work. His bride does not kill the 10 nations. He does it by speaking them dead. Revelation 17 and 18 and 19. Okay, so So that's the spiritual bride. That bride is a spiritual bride that is consummated, and also a celebration is at the Lamb's, at the marriage supper of the Lamb, as Revelation 19 says, in heaven. You see? That is the believers and obeyers of God who are presented before Christ, who died for all the sins of mankind who believe and obey him. Justification and sanctification equals glorification. And so they are now glorified. So that is the spiritual marriage of the supper of the Lamb. And when they are done, they come back with him. And God calls an angel to put a chain around Satan's neck and to cast him into the bottomless pit, Revelation 21-3, that he should deceive the nations no longer, as Christ rules on earth for the 1,000 years, and kings and priests shall rule under him, both Jew and Gentile. But the Jews will be the highest in the world, the oracles tells us, once again. That's right, once again, as they were in the time of old. They destroyed their enemies by their might? No, by the right hand of God. They didn't do it themselves. And it was only the righteous Jews that he did it for. Okay? Not the wicked ones. He always separated the chaff or the goats from the lamb. I'm sorry, the goats from the sheep. Not the lamb, but the sheep, they call it, as Matthew 25 says. So he always did that. So in Isaiah 14, let's go back to the foundation of Babylon. So to understand earthly Babylon is to understand in the oracles we have many different Babylonian leaders. About 299 times Babylon is mentioned in the oracles of God. But to understand the spiritual Babylon is Isaiah chapter 14. But there's actually many more chapters to help you understand this. So let's start with Isaiah 14 to finish. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Who is he speaking of? This is Lucifer, Satan. He has been cast down now, and he has now a chain around his neck, and he can deceive the nations no longer. But before that happens, first he's cast out of heaven in Revelation 12 by Michael and the archangel and the others, righteous angels, and he is cast down to hell, and he opens hell's gates to let out the other major devils to curse mankind in that 7 years. But actually this is the final of the 7 years, the last 42 months or 3.5 years. So it says, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Yes, the rest of those who went into hell. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. Isn't a grave death where you've already died and you are to be buried? And the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. You'll notice that in this chapter, it says the worms are under thee and over thee. Because where do worms grow? Where do worms live? They live in the dirt, in the earth. Where is hell? In the earth. The Bible tells you so many times that hell is inside, deep inside the earth. All you got to do is read it and believe it. Verse 12. Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped up. Pardon me. We need to go back. I was on verse 12. So let's start over in verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. This is referring to the 1,000-year reign of Christ. First, he sets them in their land, which has already transpired in 1947, because he promised he would scatter them across the nations, and he did that way back 1900 years ago, and now he brought them back into their land. But they're never going to leave that land, you see. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives. So when he's speaking of this is speaking of the 1,000-year reign of the Christ. Because as many other prophets have told you that Christ is going to reign on earth, as John the Apostle told you, but the prophets also told you that he's going to reign in Jerusalem. And it says right there, the land of the Lord, for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. This is after Satan is put down and can deceive the nations no longer. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. This has not happened for Israel at all. The time of Jacob's trouble, Jeremiah 30 verse 7, is coming. The rise of anti-Semitism is growing. And from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up, here is very important here. Here is the celestial king of Babylon. This is the ruler over the bottomless pit. This is Lucifer. This is Satan. This is the devil. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Who do you think took all the gold? Didn't the ancient Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar take the gold and precious jewels out of Israel and Jerusalem and steal it? You want to know where all the gold is that is not in Fort Knox anymore? Look no further than Rome. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked. Remember, there is a staff of Moses, and what happened to the staff of Moses when he raised it? The Red Sea parted for the children of Israel. When he raised it, Israel won their wars. And when it was lowered, they lost. When Moses got tired of holding it up, he asked Aaron and them to help him raise the staff. Very important understanding there. But the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath This is during the 7 years of great tribulation that God lets Satan continually stroke them for 7 years of wrath and kill them. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. Now we move toward the end of the 7 years of great tribulation, and no one will stop Satan from being persecuted as he is cast down and a chain is wrapped around him. The whole earth is now at rest and is quiet. They break forth in singing. The whole earth, not just the people, the animals, the birds, the trees, everything. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down amongst the worms, no feller is come against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. Yeah, hell. You know, all those people in hell that worship Satan, oh, they lay out the red carpet for him. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Does it say some of the kings? No. Just like Revelation 18, you have deceived all the nations. Babylon. Oh, they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. Thy pomp, what is that? That's pride, isn't it? Didn't Solomon and David tell you that pride cometh before a fall? The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from again? He's referring to the same king of Babylon. Revelation 14:4. Now he identifies him and says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Only one time is Lucifer in the oracles. There's that identification. But that's in the KJV. Lucifer is actually mentioned more than once in the lost books of the Bible. You know, Jasher, Jubilee, the book of Enoch, and also the damnable Apocrypha. Because it's not. It's the truth. But modern Babylon in 325 AD at the from the Council of Nicaea, who declared the oracles the Holy Bible, but that's not what it's called. They have decided to get rid of many books of the Bible and number it as 66, the number of lost souls. How thou art cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations. That's past tense, because it's matching Revelation 12, where Michael the archangel and the holy angels of God fight Satan and his fallen angels, and they are cast out of heaven so that they can accuse the brethren no longer. And there's a great rejoicing in heaven for this. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation of God in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. The 5 I wills of the pompous, prideful Lucifer, the king of Babylon. the celestial king, who is above all the kings of Babylon on earth. That's what you need to get. Yet thou shalt be brought down to the pit, to the side, or down to hell, to the side of the pit. So hell and the pit are one in the same, aren't they? They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Did he do that before the foundation? Hell no. He's done it for 6,000 years, folks. That did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. See, who are the prisoners of Satan? Those who went to prison for doing wicked things. Did Satan help them? No, he didn't open the house of prisoners, but Jesus opened the house of his prisoners. He did it for Peter, didn't he? And many more in the oracles. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. You notice he says, thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. I've taught you so many times that God will use Satan to destroy the wicked in the 7 years of great tribulation. God uses Satan like a mop to mop the world of the wicked people. I've told you this so many times. But because he did slain thy people, he will not be joined with them in burial. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land. Because all of the wicked, all the goats are going to hell. And this is the prepare slaughter of Jesus speaking his enemies into death when he comes at the Revelation 19 in the valley of Megiddo, or Armageddon. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, the remnant, and son, and nephew, saith the Lord. You notice that it's completely wiped out, even the name. Because the name, the king of Babylon, is actually Lucifer. He cuts him off from the world and is cast down to the pit. Revelation 21-3. It's cut off. It's no longer ruling the world. I will also make it a possession for the binard and pools of water. I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. It's a clean sweep. You better believe it. The Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. All I have to do is think, and it shall come to pass, this sweeping besom of destruction. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand. It is an appointed time that I will break the Syrian. And here is that teaching. I told you that the Syrian king is Lucifer, who shall be the Antichrist. I will break the Syrian. Again, this is Lucifer. This is Satan. This is the devil. This is the celestial king of Babylon. in my land. Why is he in this land? Because the Bible says that he shall go into the temple of God and declare he is God in the land, in the third temple. 2 Thessalonians 2:4. 2 Thessalonians 4:4. No, I get it mixed up every time I say that. It's right here. Let's just go there. 2 Thessalonians 2:4. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come that there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Back to Isaiah 14. We were in verse 26. This is the purpose, that it is purposed upon the whole earth. And this is the land that is stretched out upon all the nations. For the Lord of hosts hath purposed, and who shall disannul it? No one. And this is likened unto Romans chapter 9. Who shall go against my will? Who can resist my will? Did the Pharaoh of Egypt resist God's will? Oh, he tried, didn't he? But he didn't make it for some reason. And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice not thou, O whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. So Satan is going to smote his people, as this chapter says. Who is the Palestinians? It's God's will. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery, flying serpent. Revelation 12 says that Satan is the devil, and he is also that serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety. And I will kill thy root with famine, and he shall slay thy remnant. So how if you're going to kill a root with famine, and he told you, it says right here, the fruit of the root is a flying serpent, but he says, I'm going to kill the root of this fruit with famine. How is the fruit going to come forth ever again? It won't. You see, he's going to kill this tree of Satan at the root, isn't he? Hence, that's why he goes into the bottomless pit and can deceive the nations no longer. That is the root right there. How, O gate, cry, O city, thou whole Palestina, are dissolved, for there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times. What shall one answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. The Lord hath founded Zion means he has come down from earth, and he now reigns on earth in Zion. That's what it means. Anyway, that's today's teaching and understanding of Babylon and what Cyrus is doing in the world with diplomacy now. He shall overcome Minneapolis. I don't know how exactly it's going to unfold, but it shall be overcome. Thank you for listening, and may the Lord bless.